Hello members, subscribers, and guests of the channel. The topic of today's video is traditional men dating in modern society. Why is this important? Well, because I have been receiving a lot of comments from my community, people all over the world pertaining to traditional men. Many of you tell me that you love traditional men, that you think they have wonderful characteristics, that they are leaders, that they can take charge, that they are really good role models, and so on and so forth. So I wanted to dig a little bit deeper today and talk about specifically how modern world is being navigated and what it's like to navigate the modern dating world as a traditional man. The first question is who traditional men are. And the simple answer for me, these are the men who come from traditional countries. Which going to be a number of them around the world: Middle East, African countries, South American countries, Eastern European countries, many Asian countries. There's going to be a lot of traditional countries. And then, of course, there's going to be modern countries as well, which is United States, Canada, some of the Western Europe and Central Europe, some of the countries in Middle East now becoming more modern. So when it comes to traditional men, these men come from these traditional countries with specific beliefs, with specific customs and way of life. So this is important to understand, because once you start dating a traditional man, you're going to want to know what type of man he is. What does it mean? What these beliefs actually mean in terms of dating life. Does it mean that he believes in gender roles? Does it mean that he wants a feminine woman? Does that mean that he has some other cultural nuances that you must know? By the way, do not assume that all traditional cultures are the same. They are not. If you are dating a guy from Iran, he's going to be different from a guy from Russia. If you are dating a guy from Russia, he's going to be different from a guy from Mexico, and so on and so forth. You have got to understand the intricate parts of that culture, and even sometimes his family preferences and how he was brought up, in order to understand what that will mean as far as your relationship concerned. One of the main questions that I want to be able to ponder upon in this video is how modern society impact these men. This is a legitimate question, because without a doubt, in my mind, there is an impact. And the biggest reason why is freedom. Modern society allows traditional men to experience something that in a lot of cases they cannot experience in their own country. In the modern world, they can think what they want, they can do what they want, and they can say what they want. Again, that's a fundamental difference. When you are given that type of freedom, inadvertently it's going to impact you, is going to change you to some extent when you come in from a traditional country. What are some of the impacts of the modern society can have on traditional men? In my mind, there could be serial daters, people who just like to date, not get married, not necessarily get committed, but just date. There could be plate spinners, people, men in this case, who will date multiple women at the same time. There could be casual dating involved, which we see so often nowadays, where people date without commitment whatsoever. And typically, in those type of cases, it sounds good and it's great if both people are on the same page. But a lot of times, it could end up in disaster, because one person ends up with more feelings, one person wants more commitment than the other person, and then it kind of tips the scales and kind of destroys the entire dynamic of that type of relationship. By the way, I want to make a quick remark regarding uh, plate spinning, because some of you may hear that and think, oh, this is terrible, like, men dating multiple women. Women been doing it for as long as women existed, and we understand that it's different for women dating 3 or 4 or 5 guys at the same time, because women must choose the best suitable person for their offspring. So we understand that. The difference with the modern society nowadays is that men can do the same thing now. Whereas before, back in the day, when men would be in an arranged marriage, traditionally speaking, or when men, met a woman that he really liked in his immediate geographical area, there was rap. That was over. They would get married. And remember, marriage was done for different reasons back in the day. Also, this is not the same thing. So I don't want to get in all of that because there's a lot to unpack if we still keep going in this rabbit hole. The main point that I want to bring up, the remark that I was making, is that men now have the same type of freedom and same type of opportunities that women do in terms of plate spinning. So men now can date multiple women at the same time, just like women been doing and continue to date multiple men at the same time to find the best suitable partner for them, either in the short term or in the long term. So, of course, all of these things can mess with traditional man's mind because this freedom is unparalleled. Now, the next question becomes is, can he remain 100% traditional if he lives in the modern society? And my answer, probably not. There's always could be exceptions to where you have hardcore traditional man who is going to abide by his culture, by his family tradition and beliefs, and maybe only marry a certain woman or pursue a certain woman. I do not believe it to be the majority. I believe that once you live in the modern world, using USA as an example, this is a wide open world and you are not judged for it as long as, again, you're not doing anything illegal, anything extraordinary. As long as you stay within the law, you can do just about anything you want. And men take advantage of it. Traditional men take advantage of it. Many people who come here from other countries, immigrants, and people even who born here with traditional values, they end up exploring, they end up taking advantage of this freedom. The bottom line is you can do a lot of things, including intimacy, without commitment. And just think about it for a moment. Something that you had to work for very hard before, or something that you had to commit for in order for you to have that in the past, is no longer the case. You can date women, you can have access to intimacy, and you don't need commitment. This is where freedom can get tricky. This is not about right or wrong, but it's simply looking at objective truth that when you give people freedom, you can no longer dictate how this freedom is going to be used. People will decide whether they want to spin plates, whether they want to have casual relationships, or what have you. And the bottom line, it's going to allow traditional men to have access to things that they normally have within marriage or within the confines of a committed relationship. Now they have access to that simply by dating, or sometimes don't even call it dating. I mean, it gets ridiculous by the day, it seems. We're just hanging out, we're just friends, we're just cordial. Modern society broke the secret seal. They took this chastity belt and just threw it in the garbage and said, be gone with it. We don't care about you. We're going to let it play out the way that modern society wants it. And here we go. Now we have a lot of unhappy women. We have a lot of unhappy men for that matter, too. Ladies, I have good news and bad news for you. Good news is that you are, ladies, still the gatekeepers of sex. Bad news are sex now is a commodity. Anyone can get it anywhere. It's sort of like a side dish that can be obtained on any menu nowadays. So, what does it all mean in the end for traditional men? And if you're dating one, understand that this is going to impact the traditional man who lives in a modern society. How can it not? Unless this man lives underneath the rock or he's just hidden from the outside world in social media, this man is going to be impacted. I do believe that traditional men can retain their traditional culture, but I believe that they must be aware of potential clashes and conflicts. Because clearly, if you're coming from a traditional culture that tells you not to do serial dating, but you have access to that and you want to do it, clearly is a conflict of interest. Which one are you going to choose? Are you going to stay true to your traditional culture and maybe we'll look for that one girl that you can date? Or are you going to say, I have this freedom, these are amazing benefits, I'm going to go ahead and just date multiple women until I find one? Is any of them wrong? I think it's a subjective question. If you're looking for a compromise, perhaps traditional men can settle on traditional behavior and modern habits, or vice versa. I have one bonus suggestion for everyone who is watching this video. Don't assume anything. This modern world must be evaluated. Each relationship must be looked at on a case by case basis. Thank you for watching this until the end. I appreciate every single one of you very, very much. Be sure to smash the like button. Be sure to subscribe to this channel and smash the bell so you can get notified for all the future videos and live shows. No matter what you do, be safe, be good, and always be grateful, my friends. I will see you next time.